It's so boring. It's so boring.
Yeah. It's fun just to cut loose every once in a while.
Make fun of people.
You know what we need to do? We need to get a container of Jiffy Pop popcorn.
Oh, remember that? Oh my gosh. Remember doing it in the pan though when you were growing up and it would get.
Yeah.
Oh.
And we could sit there and we could use the AED and just pop popcorn.
We
Anyone stand-up comedy time?
when
Okay.
No, not you.
you're on restriction.
See, he made it.
All right. Good evening and welcome. I'm called to order the City of California City Council Tuesday, September 11th, 2018, regular meeting at 6 p.m. At this time, would you please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation?
Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Divine Father, we call upon this day. Remember that you took care of us in 1999 and after 9/11. This nation was not destroyed to protect us from the enemy. We pause to thank you for the young men who died there, the young men who gave their life there to defend this nation. And we are mindful that we are blessed. We're blessed going in, we're coming out. We are Americans. We, the people of the United States of America, we are together. Make us mindful that we are strong when we stand together. We're strong when we work together. We're strong when we pray together. We're strong when we stand together. Make us mindful on this day that we are blessed. One nation under God. There's no other nation like it. No matter our difficulties, we're still strong. No matter our misunderstanding, you still keep us. Guide this nation. Start in California City. Give us strength, courage, and men and women who will dedicate their life to make this city a better city, to make the citizens happy, at peace. We ask you to bless our police chief, our fire chief, our engineer, our city manager, our mayor, and those who have served us before, and those who have gone on have served this nation, have served this city. Make us mindful that we are Americans. Together we stand. God, please have blessed America. this great nation that we are part of. And I think tonight I'm a part of it. I served in the military, and I'm ready to serve again, whatever you call. And I praise your name tonight. Bless America, and please bless our president. Keep him strong, give him wisdom and knowledge that he may lead us. And we ask you to lead all of us. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Sorry about that.
Thank you very much. And if, at this time, that's a pleasant reminder to turn the volume down on your cell phones or turn them off. So, Madam Clerk, would you roll call us in?
Councilmember McGuire,
Here.
Paris,
Here.
Stump,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gomez,
Here.
Mayor Wood.
Here. Before we, I'm looking for an emotion to adopt the agenda, but before we do so, we are removing public hearing 1 tonight. It will be renoticed at a future date, and we're also removing NB1. So, I did it again. NB2. So NB2 and public hearing 1. I'm looking for a motion to adopt the agenda with the removal of those 2 items.
Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Madam Clerk, do you have any reports or late communications?
Yes, ma'am. September 2nd, JM Powers, in regards to city manager, worried about the public safety resources if they're going to be used to support Wasteland Weekend. I'd like to report at this time that we are not involved with that at all this year. It's on county. September 3rd, all city property tax revenue was spent on general fund municipal water use. And that was a third one. Also dated September 2nd, a record $35 million in fiscal year 17-18 budget estimation errors. And there's copies up front. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who's dinging? Okay. No, ding, 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 ding. Okay. All right, staff announcements. Okay. Mr. Platt, would you like to go first? Or should I start with the normal?
You can start with the normal.
Okay.
It gives me
So,
a line
Chief?
to lead into something.
Chief Hurtado, police report. Thank you.
All right. Since we met last, we've responded to 844 calls for service. The last couple of weeks, we've been joined with members of the California Highway Patrol to assist us on several days of the week where we're running short staff. They're either my backup or the other officer, day shift backup. So far, I think we've had them 5 days, 6 days, and they've assisted us on 28 calls, including burglary, assaults, alarm calls, bank alarm calls. So they've been helping us a lot. In the last couple of weeks, we've had 19 reported felonies. Of those 19, 8 have been closed out with arrests. We've had 34 reported misdemeanors. 27 of those have been closed out with arrests. So we've had 35 arrests in the last couple of weeks. It brings us up to date about 429 arrests. And sometime tonight, I'm sure while we're meeting, we'll be breaking, we're at 14,995 calls for service. So sometime before this meeting's over, we would have reached 15,000 calls for this year. And that's it.
Chief, very much. Chief Goodell, fire report.
Well, just first of all, it's a real honor being here with Craig. Code enforcement, 17 new cases. First of all, thanks for letting me serve you guys and mayor, city council people, city manager and staff, and citizens. 17 new cases in code enforcement, 11 closed cases, citations issued 7, notice of violations 9, complaint forms received 4. We brought on a new code enforcement person, and they're charging hard, doing a real good job. Just generally, things are I think citywide, and I can speak for the fire department, things are moving pretty quickly compared to a couple months ago or so. I mean, we're really getting on about our work and getting some work done. I'm starting to feel like a chief. Fire department, we had 5 fires, 70 EMS/rescue, 3 hazards, no fire, 24 good intents, and false alarms 5. We're probably looking at 3,200 calls by year's end, maybe 33. I monitor the radio quite a bit, and we're getting a number of simultaneous calls. And that's kind of the 19th situation that shouts, watch out. I was honored, privileged to be at Patriots Day. That was real neat. And something that I thought that Chief Hurtado said was real neat is of the about 3,000 people who lost their lives there, most of them were citizens doing a good job or caught just in a bad spot. And I appreciated the part about let's just remember, no matter what station in life we're in or what our profession is, we're out there to help one another. It was a good reminder. And the thing this morning, the 911 at the school was very nice. Hannah did a really neat job, and so did our mayor. So we'll be having National Night Out at Central Park on the 2nd at 6 o'clock in the evening. I've solidified these dates. They'll be out. I'll get with Craig. Sound the alarm, where we hand out smoke alarms and sometimes install them. A lot of times it's followed up with a little bit of advice to people on what to do in case something happens like that. Will be on the 6th of October. And then we're really close to deciding on the date and the time for RPU. So we're going to go down there and we're going to talk to all of the 1st and 2nd graders. I think it's going to be the 12th, more to follow. 16th and 17th of October would be our second dates of choice. And we're going to do the fire engine, and we'll teach the children with the safety house from Edwards, if they'll be that gracious. And that again in the morning on the 12th, it looks like. And as soon as I get things really dialed down, I'll get that out.
Thank you very much.
Chief Goodell, what do you attribute the changes in the last couple of months to?
You know, I think we were fortunate and blessed to have Measure C pass, and because of that, I know our city manager has tasked us with, and you have tasked us with, and the citizens have tasked us with. And it wasn't really hard to task me with it because I was pretty much on board. We need to get out there and put some boots on the ground, invest some time in the city, improve our own departments, and the departments work together to make this city the place that it's intended to be, a good place. And I've been able to refocus. I didn't mind doing what I did. It was something I needed to do as the chief, but now I've been allowed to look inward a lot more and begin to manage and help us to help ourselves to be a good fire department for a good city.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Platt, Public Works.
Mayor, council, and public. Facilities closed out for the preceding month, 140 work orders, and that is miscellaneous projects from the TDS, electrical, sewer line, clean outs, Balsitis Park and Desert Jade, and the golf course. So with TDS, we've had to really go in there and revamp the electrical. And coming in future, I'm going to be working with Brenda, and we're going to actually include what we're doing out at the golf course and how many rounds and of play that we're logging and recording there. One of the major obstacles is the fact that when we took over the golf course, the equipment was literally almost all non-operational. It did not work. There was problems with all of it. The maintenance over whatever period of time did not exist. The shop and operations associated with the golf course are just absolutely a mess. There is many years of equipment that has just been parked and left, and trash and material. It's really hard to describe. It's just not functional. So we really have been working with the manufacturer of the mowers. They've been out to evaluate, which I've reported before, and helping us get that equipment running. We're still working on them. We've got 3 up and going, have made those repairs, working on the 4th. Hopefully that one is actually up and going. All of them, as far as blades, have not been absolutely sharpened in many years. That is not something that you just ignore and put off for years and years and years. They take maintenance, and it just hasn't existed. So those are some of the things we've been struggling on beyond the water, making the repairs, catching, I should say, years of neglect as far as certain components, and putting that back in as far as the pumps and things that actually move the water around from the lake and the plant to the holding ponds, which actually distribute the water through the irrigation system. Real soon I'll be bringing you the quotes. I've got 3. We're sent some current information to them so they'd all be on the same page, because they were giving us different depths and footages. We'll be bringing that to you to actually drop a well. That's an ag well only for irrigation. I can give you rough numbers, not rusty, but rough numbers that we're going to be looking around the $400,000 range. And what we're doing is I'll bring the comparison for the water that we pumped and give you an estimate based on pumping costs from one of our current wells, so we can give an idea what the annual cost for pumping water is. To remove the whole system and the parks and everything out of the municipal water system. Streets Department closed out 64 work orders. That's the SDI tracks, and 34. They're working on the painting orders, street sweeping, potholes, 10 work orders, which amounts to 430 potholes. They don't seem to go away. Matter of fact, they're growing, as I think most of us know. That's signage, and continue with our weed abatement program. Water. One of the comments that continually comes up and lately is the water standby, and the fact that we moved money, which was reported back when Jason was here, that the last however many years, I'm not even sure, but it's something that we were bringing up, that the water standby fees were going right into the water fund. The water fund is not the recipient of the actual water standby fees, as those were denoted for capital improvement only. So he moved the dollars amounts from the water fund based on the revenue received in that fiscal year through the audited numbers, and it's roughly somewhere between 600 and 800,000. The max would be 800 plus thousand, but obviously we haven't been receiving the entire amount because a lot of lots have defaulted. But that's been running somewhere between $600,000 and $700,000 over those years. It actually went up last year, and that was due, I think, to all the property sales. So I did not do that, as you should know. Finance transfers and moves money. Public Works does not have access to that. So those numbers need to be fixed because it put the water fund, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was roughly $5 million in the red, plus then the water standby went to $7 million or something of that nature. And originally it was like 5 to 2. So something we have to go back, and this was discussed with the auditors then, is we have to go back and take every water project that was approved by council and put the number value back for labor, material, and equipment and totally cost it back. And those are going to have to then go back and be charged back against the capital. Like the water replacement project, the 1.5 that the council moved forward, those all fell back into the water fund and then were reversed back under capital. So that the accounting is correct, but all the reports, and when we brought them to council to approve every single project, ended up being pulled from the operations fund, which it shouldn't have. It should have been the water capital fund, and that's why the numbers got skewed. So the correction was made to put it back under capital, and then the projects that we bring back, and I have done on all of the projects, is always authorize finance to make those adjustments. They, at those times, just didn't happen. So we will be bringing back all the projects as discussed, even the ones I brought just this last year on roughly the 7 or 9 projects, and put all the estimated costs for labor, equipment, and material, and because right now they're just the material, and I'll bring all of it back to you, and we'll reapprove it based on the actual estimated overall cost of the entire project. And we will still track it so it's actually through, and that's happened now. All those projects are now tracked in finance as each project is moving forward. So they have their own number, all labor, all equipment, or material, and are charged to it. The one that's not charged is equipment, because it's not accounted for that way. But we will bring those corrected numbers to charge all of it, as it should be. Mainline repairs over the month was 5. Blowouts, none. 37 service replacements and 41 meters. Door hangers, 181. Lockouts was 67. And the daily reconnects and turn-on, turn-offs was 246. Call-outs, and these are all generated from City Hall, were 49. There was 3,000 feet of 12-inch C900 installed. That project is complete, waiting vectorial test, and then we will work on the next phase of that project. Some other information that continues to be skewed is numbers that we get from AVAC. So these numbers are from AVAC, and that we are using so much more water than we ever have in previous. So these are the facts. 2010 to 2013, we used 5,121.5 acre feet of water from AVAC. 2014 to 2017, 4-year stenches, since I've been here and the 4 years previous to me being here, 907.4 total.
Acre feet.
Acre feet. So if you do the math, that's 4,214.1 acre feet less water over the 4 years than the previous 4 years. Those are facts. 2013 is the base year of the state started monitoring when we went into the drought. The city used 3,782.5 acre feet. 2017, we used 3,261.7. That's 520.8 acre feet just for 2017, less than 2013. Tally that up, that's 169,703,200,000.8 gallons of water. You might as well line up 169 1 million gallon water tanks down the boulevard. That's how much water difference just in 2017 that we've saved. Those are facts. Those are off the state reports. Those are off AVAX reports. That's what we have done in the water department, and that's the water savings that we have been doing. These are facts, not fiction numbers. These are the facts. And that concludes my report.
Well, congratulations, because I know that there's been a good job done, and I know that you've also capped off some areas in the community, so you don't have to maintain them at this point, that may not be developed for some time. And thank you for all your work.
They're all restorable, and there was 305 miles of water infrastructure in California City. It's mind-boggling when you figure we serve 4,400 customers. And yes, we did. We have turned off every single track. There's still some out there in Second Community, but almost every single track that is not serving anybody. And it's a safety issue more than anything else.
I had a couple of questions for you. You talked about the $400,000 annual cost of pumping water. What is that? Is that electrical? Is that labor? Is that parts? What is that? Can you break it down for me?
The electrical cost?
No. You said $400,000 annual cost of pumping water. What do you mean by that?
To drill a well. So at the golf course, we're getting quotes, and we've got 3 of them. We're just tying them all together so it's all the same. They gave us some numbers that we didn't ask for, and I want all the quotes to be exactly the same thing they're quoting. We're looking at drilling at roughly an 800-foot deep well for the golf course and the Parks and Rec department to have that at the location, which is very close to one of our pumping stations there now. We've already checked with the power company. We have the power there. That's why we're kind of looking at that location. We got to just change the panel, but the actual load we need is suffice. It's roughly going to be around $400,000 to drill, set a turbine, operational, ready to pump water at that site. We'll have some interior connections to do, but it's going to be minimal because all the infrastructure is right there.
Okay, so you're saying $400,000 for parts, labor, everything to make it?
Yes, to drill a well. We will have some cost to tie it all into our system, but the system is all there to tie it into.
Then a couple other questions. You said that, and I just want to clarify in my mind that Jason moved the money around, you said?
Finance moves money.
Yeah, but so it was moved.
So the auditors and myself, and I've been saying this for a long time, that the numbers were not correct. And this all really came up as we were doing our annual for the water standby fees. Those are restricted funds. So one of the recommendations somewhere along the line, and this is from the auditor, said you have to separate the revenue. You can't just put it into revenue from your customers, which is right. So the fund hadn't changed since 2013 or 14, and I'm not sure the year exactly, so don't quote me on the year. That number never changed, and I've been telling finance for those years that you can't have that when you're seeing that there's $600,000 to $700,000 or $800,000 coming in every year. Why is that number not changing? Well, it didn't change. So he went back and pulled the audited numbers of those years and made that adjustment because it was being logged. That's why the water fund kept going up so high, because we weren't spending the money under the water fund because it wasn't money to spend for operations. So we weren't booking it or showing it within our budget to spend. So that fund kept growing exponentially from that 600,000+ revenue. And so he made those corrections within the finance department, which I'm sure were journal entries, and moved the money where it should have been back into the capital replacement.
Okay, so that was done while Jason was here?
Yes.
Okay. And just another thing, you just said it again. So while this was going on, you were telling Jason that things were not right?
I was telling the finance director that the numbers were not right. And I believe Don was even telling that the numbers were not right.
So since you bring my name up, here we go. My concern, Mr. Platt, and it's not directed at you, I guess it's directed at finance, is anything that comes out of a capital improvement fund, or I'm sorry, out of an enterprise fund, has to come to council. They took $5 million, actually $7 million, because they put the Water Enterprise Fund $2 million in the hole and never told any of us. Okay? It was just done. And that's my concern.
Actually, I believe that we did bring it. I don't think, because it was one of the things noted in the audit that those things were there. But it wasn't spent. And I think you got to remember, they're both water. But one is restricted, which is the capital, which since I've been here, all my reports that come to council for a project, for a capital project, which is anything in my mind that has to do with any main line that we're putting in the ground, that's a capital improvement. If it's a repair and replacement, that is not. That is actually under the water fund. But any major repair or upgrade is capital. And that should come to council. And I have brought every single project to council. And then the diligence is for finance to track those expenditures accordingly. And you can go back on my reports that we do those. It always says and authorize finance, which was done, to make the adjustments and track those expenses. That's what was not done. And it's not the current staff.
Right. So all I'm saying is if we've got money in a enterprise fund, before it is removed, it has to come to council for a vote. Proposition 218 is very clear on that, and so is the state constitution, and none of this has been brought before us. You have brought $952,700 in January before this council to remove from the enterprise fund, and we authorized it.
Actually, it was through the capital fund. Because those type of expenses are not operations. Anything's capital, airport, it doesn't matter. That's why when, and it came when I came here, we actually started the capital funds under the budget because they did not exist. They used to be charged under the fund. You don't do capital under operations. It always should be tracked separately because it is a different thing. It's not an expense for just operations and maintenance. And so that's why we created the whole category of capital funds under everything that we do. The streets and roads, the airport, the water system, the sewer plant. Capital is separate on all of those. So I will be bringing back for council that breakdown because not all the money that sits there today in the capital should be there. It actually, some of that should be back under the enterprise, which would lessen that $5 million deficit to correct that. And that will be every single project that we've done since I've been here to bring back the total cost of that project and to move the money back where it's supposed to be. All of it's there. It's just sitting, it's all water fund. It's just sitting in the wrong place.
All I ask is that it's brought back and council is brought up to speed on it.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you.
You know, and that's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Is that it for you, sir? Okay, yes, it was. Budget Analyst Foster, department update, please, ma'am.
Council, Mayor, community. Today, actually, the Finance Department completed the annual street audit, which I think, if you recall, was approved a few council meetings ago. The state auditor representative was out and reviewed all of our grants that we received and expenditures for the state project, or the street projects, excuse me, and just made a few recommendations that we do some reclassification so that we are better tracking the street revenue by setting up separate funds. So just a minor change there, but all of our data was in line and everything was in balance. So we had a very good street audit today. Tomorrow, our auditors from Price Page will be on site for Wednesday and Thursday. So Beth and I have been preparing for the first round of the interim audit. I want to thank Beth Boone, of course, for all of her hard work. She's really been incredible in helping me getting this prepared with being such short staff. So thank you to Beth. And yesterday we released our July 2018 financials, and we're closing in on finishing up the August, so we'll get those done after the auditors leave for next week. So business as usual in finance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And y'all are getting as much as you can get done with the limited resources, and we appreciate that. Parks Manager Devrin, Parks and Recs update.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and members of the public. Fall is definitely underway. Our pool did close over Labor Day weekend. We had a successful pool season with no injuries or accidents to report. It was a fun weekend. Our adult exercise class is back, and we want to welcome our new exercise instructor, Pio, who was doing our water exercise, moved over to the land. So he'll be doing that on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 9 to 10. We're running a September special for our adult exercise. The first class is free, so come try us out. And if you like it, I think it's about $20 a month, so it's pretty inexpensive. Kids Candy Bingo is back by popular demand on Fridays from 3:30 to 4:30, so bring your family down and have some fun. We also have air hockey, pool, foosball, and all of that going on. Pee Wee Soccer's last day to register is tomorrow. We have our parent meeting at 5:30 in the Strata Center. Also going on tomorrow at 6 p.m. in the Arts Center, we have our very first Holiday Village meeting. So we're excited to get underway, start planning as a community what kind of event we want it to be this year. Last year was our first time doing it with solely Parks and Rec and the community, and I think it was a lot of fun and success, and we hope we have a great turnout again this year for it. But we need help planning, and we need some volunteers to decorate. So please, if you can, send a member of your group, any group that you're in, or just individuals can come down and volunteer and work on the committee. Super Tots is our little preschool program that goes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We still have a couple more openings. They did just start this last week, so it's kindergarten readiness. Youth basketball registration also just opened up for kids ages 7 through, I believe it's 8th grade. A jersey is included in the $60 price. Pictures are not. And this league does travel to Rosamond and Edwards Air Force Base because we're a small community, so we can't always have all the games here in town, of course. I'd like to. On this Saturday, our Arts Commission is having a pour-over acrylics class from 12 to 3 in the Arts Building. It's fun. Anybody can do it. Even I've done it. I'm not an artist, but it was a lot of fun. So definitely go give it a try. It's great for beginners, and anybody can be successful. You could also bring objects from home, like an old record or something like that, to paint. So if you're interested in that, come on out this Saturday. And then lastly, I was going to talk about our golf course. Day by day, it's improving over there. Ever since the carts got there, life has been getting better and better. In July, I do have the count. We did have 337 patrons come out and either golf or do range balls since we didn't have carts. Most of them were members. Our private golf cart fees, our trail fees, membership is due now. We're making stickers, but we're all up and running and registering carts. Over Labor Day and with the cooler weather, things are getting much better. I think over Labor Day we made over $2,000, so we have had a good, successful weekend. And last weekend, I think I only had one complaint, maybe on Sunday. So we're getting better. They're bearing with us, and they know they lose some extra balls, but they know we're working hard on it. And I'd like to thank Public Works. They've definitely done a great job trying to get us up and running through all the trials and tribulations that's been going on. So come on out, renew your membership, come golf with us, and it's a lot of fun. Any questions?
Yes. How many people did you have for the event at the Strata today for the job fair?
Was it?
We had 61 people, and half of those were for public works. So 32 applicants applied for jobs in the public works department.
No, very good.
Could everybody hear her? 32?
Yeah, 61 and 32 were for Public Works.
Make sure the viewers at home can hear. Yeah. All right. And that was a fun event this morning. And thanks to everybody in the community that came out and applied.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And thanks for both departments working together to get that thing going. Appreciate it very much. All right. City Manager Stockwell, city update.
I think we finally discovered what's going on with our mics. These are the kind that you see performers use that they hold right next to their mouth instead of being a distance from them. So hopefully it'll be easier to hear me as we go through this. A couple of significant things have come up over the last week. We have confirmed that we will be hosting the mayors and managers meeting on September 24th here in Cal City. It's a group of mayors and managers from Kern County that get together. And so that will be held at the Arts Center here in Cal City. So if any of the members of the council would like to attend, they'd certainly be welcome. The process that we started earlier to put together a financial analysis, basically go back and re-examine what we have done and answer some of the concerns that keep coming up over the finances and trying to find auditing firms that would take on that task. We couldn't find any who understood why we wanted to do it, much less than be interested in re-auditing somebody else's audits. And so ultimately reached out to the state controller. At first didn't get much response from that, but then last week was able to talk to the auditor who in fact came and did the street audit today and met with him today when he was here, and they've agreed to take a look at our last 3 years' worth of audits, to take many of the issues that have been raised by J.M. Powers, do an analysis on that to see if there's issues that need to be addressed, and then report back to us. So at this point, if they find something that causes interest or concern, then they'll be back to us and would schedule something more extensive. If they go through these things, then they'll tell us what they really find from that. Based upon what Mr. Hudson said about Mr. Powers being willing to meet with them, we will be hopefully the auditor said he'd be more than happy to talk to Mr. Powers on the phone, and so we need to hopefully from Mr. Hudson get a number that the auditor could call so that he could speak directly to them. And so the state controller's office is stepping in at our request to essentially answer the questions that keep arising. And so hopefully over the next 3 or 4 weeks we'll be able to hear their analysis of these supposedly chronic issues that keep being brought to our attention. So we'll be interested to see what happens there. We put out an RFP for the organizational assessment, comprehensive assessment we wanted to do to kind of set the stage for where we were going to be going. Sent specific requests to 7 various agents or firms and got no responses, as well as a response to the RFP. And so where we find ourselves at this point then is that we need to move on. And so what I'm suggesting to the council is that we should begin the budget process that was stalled last spring when we went through. We decided we'd go ahead and go to the voters once again, and the process that I'd like to suggest to you, and this is going to the internet and looking for some concise examples of how you go about the zero-based budget process. Could you pass that out to the council? Is one that gives us a synopsis of what goes into the process of zero-based budgeting. And so what I suggest to the council is that we start at square one. that we begin with a series of workshops where the council, as the policymakers, as is called for in this, the steps are, the first one is to map out your governance model, create alignment between your strategic plan and the zero-based budget, develop a matrix of costs by the type and ownership, align the culture and incentives, and these are broad-based titles, and then put together the ultimate budget. And so the essence of zero-based budgeting is that we look at everything anew. And so the process must begin at the policy level. And so that's where we will start off with the council, essentially with a blank slate, deciding what this city should be providing, and how we should divide that up amongst the resources of the city, essentially examining each department from zero to wherever we're going to take it, and then we translate that once we know what it is that the council wants us to do as a community. Then we start populating that with people and numbers, and ultimately a budget that we would adopt. And so my suggestion is that we will, instead of doing a budget that would take us through the end of June, that we in fact do a budget that would take us through the end of this June and the following June, so that essentially it would be a 2-year budget, since we're midway through the process, and then we would do a mid-year budget review based upon that going forward. And so based upon those elements, we'll be contacting the council to indicate the dates that we could begin. Staff would be ready as early as next week to start meeting with council and public workshops to begin this process, so that hopefully by the end of November, when our interim budget is will be expiring, that we have a budget to put in this place that we go forward with from there. So that will be the proposal coming to the council specifically on that. And that's all I have to report for today.
Thank you, sir. AB 1234, council.
I don't have any. I did attend the Patriots Day thing. Annalyn, you did a rocking job singing the national anthem. You did. And then attended the 9/11 ceremony at the high school this morning, which they did an outstanding job, an incredible job. That's all I got.
Mayor, I have an air quality control board meeting on Friday.
There are several of us who will be going to the League of Cities tomorrow.
Actually, I think it's just 2 of us. Well, I mean, on council. Yeah. Okay. Civic, community, and organizations announcements. I've got one actually to start off, if you would you give me this opportunity. The East Kern Capital Summit is coming to California City. It's presented by America's Small Business Development Center at CSUB, and this will occur. There are flyers out here. Wrong date. It's the 19th, not the 18th, but the save the date is correct. So that will take place on Friday, October 19th, 2018, from 7:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. And just what's going to happen here is there will be individuals here to talk about and perhaps provide microloans, commercial real estate financing, SBA loans, rural loans, big business loans, community capital, crowdfunding, angel funding, venture capital, innovation and technology funding, innovation grants, hard money agriculture loans, franchise funding, export financing, EB-5 visa funding, and alternative financing, and more. So mark your calendars, and if you would like more information, please you're going to need to get tickets. You need to go to the general admission is free, but the seating is limited. HTTPS, you know how the rest of that goes, www.eventbrite.com/e/east Kern-capital-summit-tickets 451-233-80245. By the way, this is in the, huh?
Can you text it?
No, but you can write it down. It's right in the thing. Yeah, I'll text it to you. But for more information, there's a phone. There's this in the entryway to the building. Excuse me. In the entryway to the building, there's this flyer right there. This poster, I should say, and it gives you a phone number and an individual to contact for more information. This is a great opportunity. We were going to have this here before, but it had to be pushed till now. So if
October 18th, Mayor?
it is October 19th. The poster said the 18th until I scratched it out and put a 19th. Anyone wants this poster, they may have it. We already have one at City Hall, and there are some going around to businesses in the community. So we'll get this out there. But there, like I said, very well. Thank you so much. So that would be another good place to check this out. So that's all for my civic and community. Anyone else have some civic and community announcements? Anyone?
Good evening, Mayor Wood, City Council, staff, and public. A couple of announcements. First, this coming September the 19th, the Greater Antelope Valley Association of Realtors is hosting a breakfast for the commercial real estate brokers and those folks interested in learning about California City's cannabis zone, rules and regulations, opportunities, and effects on real estate. Mr. Stockwell, City Manager, has been invited, as well as officials from Lancaster and Palmdale as well. There'll be a Canna Law Group will be attending, as well as certified land planners, and we'll have representation here on the California City Real Estate Zone as well. That's September 19th. Greater Antelope Valley Association of Realtor Breakfast, 8:15 at the Hellenic Center. There are flyers available on that. It'll be nice to see some information presented to the brokers outlining some possibilities for California City. Second announcement, coming up September 21st is the mycalcity.org Meet the Candidate event here at the middle school. It'll start about 6 p.m. We're happy to learn that the Emerald Bistro will be serving street tacos. I'm sure that'll bring several hundred people. And so I know they had their grand opening this last week, and there was a lot of excited folks about their food quality. We're happy to have them as sponsors, as well as Norm Hill Aviation, as well as EGH Holdings, as well as Big West will be sponsoring the event. There are still opportunities for sponsors and volunteers. We do have some amazing volunteers. There's one here tonight. Did you want to say something? Okay. Still to come, we have some critical issues. We still need to actually confirm both dates that we have coming up, including the practice or warm-up, and then also the event itself. Additionally, we still need some of the platforms from the candidates and their pictures by JPEG submitted to info@mycalcity.org. For any write-in candidates that would apply as well, we need your contact information and your platform. There will be a survey distributed at this event, some critical questions for the voters to ask just in case that there may be an elections debate coming in October. In the event that there is, we'll want to have those questions from the audience that we can ask at the subsequent event. This is an opportunity for us to thank those who have been serving on the council that will not be with us next year. We appreciate your service, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone for civic community announcements?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Lou Peralta, EDC. I'd like to invite everyone to our next breakfast meeting, which will be Thursday, September 20th at Foxy's at 8 o'clock in the morning. And we actually have extended an invitation to all the candidates to attend our breakfast. Unlike perhaps the mycalcity.org more formal process of vetting and listening to the candidates, our breakfast will be more of a casual way in which the people can meet the candidates, those who would like to attend, and ask questions. Sometimes somebody might ask 1, 2, or 3 questions. And so if the candidates would like to grace us with their presence on Thursday, the 20th, at 8 o'clock at Foxy's. You're all invited. And of course, the city and the people in California City are also invited. It's a good opportunity to meet the candidates. And by the way, I know we don't put up any money for mycalcity.org, which I think is a good event, but the EDC did put up the insurance for the event. So it's, in some way, it's involved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Anyone else? Civic, community, organization announcements. All right. Moving on. Public business from the floor. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the City Council on any matter not on this agenda and over which the City Council has jurisdiction. Please state your name for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Anyone?
Good evening, member of council, mayor, California City resident. My name is Eddie Borna, California City resident. I would like, before I say anything, I want to say thank you for the time and effort all of you guys are putting for servicing this community. Also, I want to extend a appreciation for all the job the police department, fire department, and public work directors, and mayor, and city managers are doing for the city. I thank you. Thank you so much on behalf of the residents of California City. What is brought to my attention, as some of you guys know, I just came back. During the flight I was coming back, I was reading some article regarding all the cities that there are in California, and looking at the real estate in these cities, how the real estate is progress in these cities. And it was disappointing because when I look at all these things, I saw California City not only we didn't progress, actually we went backward. And I was thinking, why? As myself being an investor, I invest in other cities as well. Except California City is just, with all these booms happening in all other cities, we are not growing. And I came up with this conclusion, and I'm going to share that with you. In California City, we don't have any industry. The only industry that we have is cannabis. The only one, and I thank you that you guys work hard at it, bring it to the city. Thank you for your vote. You guys work hard after hundreds of meetings with the different city manager. You hired a great city manager, and he got hired 5-0. And so far, what I see from him, he has done a great job. So far. So far what I see, he has done a great job. As a matter of fact, I could say in last 38 years that I've been in California City, no one even come close to him in this short period of time what he did. Then the next issue is, I'm going to bring it to the great council members. We brought the cannabis in California. You guys brought the cannabis in California City. What we are going so much on talking about cannabis, one security guard, 2 security guard. We put the limitation here, put the limitation there. You guys are scaring the investors.
Mayor.
Sorry. I'm sorry that I have to shorten up. But the bottom line is, please, don't talk about the cannabis too much. Just let it go. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Don't mention cannabis again. No one. No one. Not tonight. Oh, no, you're not.
I'm getting the munchies right now. So
no cannabis.
See me after the meeting.
Thank you, by the way, and you're welcome. Of course, Al's got a
Good
project
evening,
we need to look into.
Al Hudson. Well, the first thing I'm going to talk about very, very quickly is Mr. Platt and his reciting of the events and the financial reports that were considered But he has to be remembered that in 2000, or not remembered, but he has to recall that in 2013 the city was not paying for its water. So those numbers are skewed. The next item is I took a look at the new transmission and distribution and wells main installed 2016 and 2017. Here's the printout on that. What this does not show is PE best practices. PE best practices are showing the estimated and the actual costs, because those costs have a direct bearing on our water rates. They need to be separated and reviewed. Because in Bartell's Wells 2014 water rate study, the numbers are laid out and we have nothing to compare them to. Now moving on to the cannabis.
Uh-oh. Just kidding, kidding.
I have a report from the city of Adelanto that is in the same boat as we are for power for the investors and such. And I would like to give this to the city clerk and say, please distribute to the city council members and agendize it, because it's a solution to the power problems that investors have. Essentially what they're talking, what Adelanto was talking about is a municipal gas power, natural gas powered power plant, and then the investors could tap into it, because right now we have zero. Adelanto has zero. We've taken the investors' money, and they have nothing but a piece of paper with an okay to operate and no place to operate. An example of the dire effect of the lack of power is Meister and Meister. Meister and Meister's initial application, we crunched the numbers, and it was about $1.5 million in initial tax and tax revenue for the city. After the first modification, the revenue and the reduction in the size of the structures, the revenue went down to about $1 million. With the last modification of the contract, the revenue is down to $500,000, and that's what the city manager wants to put in place. My time is up, and I thank you. And please take a good, hard look at what Adelanto has done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Alan Bell, Cal City. Coming into town the other day, I stopped at the stop sign at Nerelia and Cal City Boulevard and looked across the street, and there's a sign that says, "How stupid our city councils have been."
No, that's not what it says.
Well, it implies that. I resist the fact that the guy who said that, or who is saying that, isn't here, hasn't been here for a while, and it's be his opinion, but I don't want his opinion to wash over all of my city councils in the past and this one now. He needs to come and explain what the stupidity was, and if he doesn't, he's stupid.
Way to go.
Thank you, sir. Other public business from the floor? Anyone? Going once? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Jane Writing, and I live in Cal City. I come before you tonight to make a statement. I am not asking for answers. I am only asking that you hear me out and listen to my words. Investigation and gathered information reveal that no other city that permits marijuana development projects requires an initial study before allowing a project to move forward. No other city that permits marijuana development requires that a biota EIR specifically state the word marijuana in any part of the report. The biota EIR studies are not specific. They are general studies done to identify existing ecological conditions, waterways, etc. The report also suggests, in some cases, mitigation possibilities. The income from the taxes expected by the City of California City from the marijuana projects is crucial to the city's financial stability. None of the bigger projects have been allowed to begin. I wonder why. Can you call it obstruction? Can you call it conspiracy? Can you call it collusion on the part of the city admin at the behest of specific council members? Why, you ask? To give certain people an advantage over others who are ready to establish their businesses now. These certain people would stop at nothing to be the only act in town. City admin is solely responsible for this travesty. Who is making the judgment calls? Who is forcing all the investors to look at alternative locations to establish their marijuana businesses? Who benefits from this conspiracy? Certainly not the City of California City. The people who are those who pull the strings of city admin for their own financial gain. California City does not need a self-anointed king. It needs a responsible council who can control the city admin. It needs a responsible council to cut the stupidity and help the city grow into what could be a prosperous and happy community with a bright future. Anyone feel free to call me. I am more than happy to share with you what I know and how I know it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else have any public business from the floor?
Mayor, before he speaks, I'll just give you some factual information again. The water rates these are production numbers, so it includes all municipal accounts, whether they were billed to the city or not. So the numbers include all of it.
And then also, before you speak, there's also a $500,000 good faith payment that was made for the municipal accounts out of a $2 million loan. 500,000 is forgiven. Yes, sir. Please.
May I?
Yes, please. I
Great.
wish you would.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Oh, I'm done. I don't know if I'm going to be out of line or not. If I am, please tell me. As a citizen of California City, my name is Lou Peralta, and I'm really concerned about our next elections, and I want to know something because things have gotten muddled a little bit estranged. Rumors are rampant. And there's a couple of questions I'd like to ask of the City Council, if I'm allowed to. If you don't want to answer, I can understand it, and people will judge themselves. But for example, the first question is, and I'd like to poll the City Council if it's possible, the question is, are you all for the medical marijuana or cannabis business to come into town? May I start with you, Mayor?
I think my history speaks to that.
Well, is it a simple yes or no?
You know the answer, yes. Of course
Thank
it
you
is.
very much.
I just
Yes.
don't like being asked the same question many
Well,
thousands
I know,
of
but it's
times.
gotten confusing, and I'm a very confused individual. Yeah. I'm totally confused. Eugene Stump, how do you feel about it? Are you for it?
Since I've been on council, I've been for it. I was the one who pushed from going from 15 to 30 to 100 to unlimited. So
I remember that.
And my sister passed away from cancer, and she was taking CBDs before, so I am definitely for it. So
perfect. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. McGuire, are you for it?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Mr. Gomez, are you for it?
I probably shouldn't answer.
Huh? He cannot answer. Okay. Is it because he's Mexican or what?
No, I don't. I'm sorry you brought that up. It
Because,
shouldn't
I'm
be.
Latino too, and I
Interesting
don't
question, Lou. We should explore that.
We should explore it. Thank you very much. Mr. Paris.
Yes, I am for medical marijuana.
Okay. Oh, it's okay. It's conditional. Okay. My second question. I still got a minute and 30 seconds. Are you for dispensaries? Councilman Paris.
Absolutely not.
Not okay. You can answer it.
Yes.
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 Mr. Stump. Yes.
Yes.
Great. So that means that this city council, with the exception perhaps one of our members, is basically all for the business to come in. So where is it that we're hearing all these nasty things, that the council is split, that there are going to be people being fired, that it's going to be... Oh, my next question was this. Are you satisfied with the job that our city manager has been doing so far? Yes. Mr. Stump?
I have mixed feelings on how he's doing.
Mixed feelings. Okay. Mayor?
Yes.
I think, can I ask him? Yeah. Oh, great. Thank you, Mr. Gomez. And Mr. Perez?
No.
You're not satisfied. So we got one maybe and one absolutely no, and I appreciate your candor. So therein lies a bit of a problem in that we have to go ahead as a united effort, otherwise we're going to be looking like a bunch of amateurs. And I think it behooves us to all you guys get together and figure out what you want in this thing. This has to progress. It's gone too long. There's investors on the wings. There's people who want to come into California City, and they're scared because a couple of people have told me they don't know what they're doing over there. And that's unfortunate. I think we do know what we're doing. I think we have to get it all fine-tuned and get the word out. And maybe a good publicist. Am I done? Okay.
Sorry.
You talking to me?
Yeah, I'm looking directly.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. But I just want to tell you, we have to get united, okay?
Yes, one thing you have to realize, we have passed, as an organization up here, we have passed ordinances to allow cannabis. And that's medical and recreational. We've done all of that. The state has already done that. So, so regardless of who is up here, regardless of who is sitting in those seats, it should proceed. As people in the audience have pointed out who came up, there are some apparent obstructions on certain people getting their businesses going. And I ask people all the time who are in the cannabis business, I say, is the city doing anything to stop your growth or stop you from proceeding? And a lot of times they don't want to answer, but then sometimes they say, yeah, well, yeah. And so, and I've looked at all kinds of documentation, and there are some things that we are not doing how the state says that we should be doing it. And I think those things, and not knocking your law firm, but your interpretation of one thing, and then your brother corrected it, where we don't have to do certain studies because they were already done previously. Those things like that we've done in the past have slowed businesses. And we didn't have a sheet that basically told investors you need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If we would have had something like that in place, and again, it's a growing industry here. It's very dynamic. The state has changed the rules and so on. But if we would have had things like that initially, or as soon as they made changes, and you know, people are going to say, well, it was on the website. Well, if you have to dig more than 2 things down, it's not on the website.
That's correct.
So if we would have had those and folders out in the lobby and everything else, and also maybe a small office set up for a couple hours a day where investors could come in and they could say, where are we at? What's next? How much time approximately? We could have been more proactive. We have not been proactive, and we need to get this industry going, because we have Measure C that's only going to be around for 6 years, and we're going to have to make up, and with the growth and everything else, and salaries and CalPERS and so on, that $7 million that we're making up now is going to have to be around $11 million by the time that this Measure C runs out. And so we're going to have to be more progressive to get that going.
Councilman Stump, that was terrific, and I really appreciate your candor. I thought it was one of the best answers you can give to us. Thank you very much.
Lou.
Good evening again, DJ Tuig. With respect to some of the comments made, I'll be very brief in response to this council. I want to acknowledge those comments that were just made by Councilman Stump. It is a cumbersome process to get a development project built in California City. The pre-development engineering, the cost, the time delays, they are extensive. And California City is new at practice in this regard. And I have seen personal testimony that even a guy that has opposed your parcel tax vehemently has received tremendous effort from city staff to get the projects developed. I have seen that. I know there's one council member that has made comments here to oppose me in some regard, but that's why we have 5 council members. That's why there's a vote. And those ordinances that have been passed for the past couple of years have approved that industry as an allowable industry in California City. So those folks that I'm talking with that have expressed themselves and articulated their concern has been received very well from staff. And examples in the last 2 weeks, those projects are moving forward, what appeared to be dead projects. And so I would like to compliment, maybe a contradiction to some, but I have personal experience that some of these projects are in fact moving forward in a very positive way and a responsive way. Just keep in mind that it's not particularly cannabis, it's industry. And we must do everything necessary to get out of the way of obstructing industry from creating jobs in California City. Mr. Borna made a comment that I agreed with. Our poverty rate is not improving. And parcel taxes will do nothing to eliminate poverty. We must do everything necessary to improve our job opportunities, our industries in California City if we're going to do anything to improve the spendable income and attracting working families to California City. So I'd like to extend certainly some concern that we continue to be alert, fortuitous, but also some acknowledgement that I think council and staff has been responsive. And thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor, I have in my hand here an environmental impact study that was done on June 8th, 2017. It costs the man $50,000 to do it. Because it doesn't say cannabis, it's going to cost the new owners $42,500 just to put the word cannabis in here. I think it's time for the council to make a motion and have our city attorney do an amendment so that these people can get moving. There's not just this one. There's numerous EIR studies have been turned back because it doesn't say cannabis. That is absolutely ridiculous. These people need to move ahead. We need to get them on the ground if we're going to get any tax base at all. But we're stopping them for a piece of paper because their face sheet doesn't say cannabis. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say, generally speaking, whatever industry ends up succeeding here, it's important that we bring something in. And the reason is, and I've been reading this for a few months now, whatever housing boom was occurring has been on a sharp decline for about 6 to 8 months. Some of it due to different reasons, including the increasing interest rates. But if you think about it, California City home prices never even went back to 2004 levels. Never mind 2006. So it never, that boom that occurred around the country and in other parts of California didn't even touch us. So if we're hoping that real estate will again generate some money, it's on a decline. So it's important that we gain revenue from some other source.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much to the council, community, and other officials. My name is Teresa Nelson. I am a new resident of Cal City. I don't even know how we got here. However, 50 years ago, my grandfather owned property here in Cal City. That's all I knew. Unfortunately, he sold the property, and so my husband and I decided we needed to buy property in California City. So we've been here a month now. I currently own Integrity Janitorial Services that's based in Palmdale. My corporate office is there. So I wanted to come to this meeting tonight just to find out where Cal City is, because I haven't seen any growth progress as far as industries coming, and his segue, the gentleman that was sitting here, was what made me decide to stand up. I want to bring my company here. I want to move from Palmdale and bring Integrity Janitorial here. We currently clean 7 commercial buildings and 15 residential in Palmdale and Lancaster. And if we're going to be a resident here in the city of Cal City, then I want to bring jobs here. So if we can bring this industry here, and right now the cost of living or the wages have gone up to $12. We currently pay non-experienced $13, $14 and above. So I need to know what we can do to help city manager or city whatever in order to start bringing Cal City, putting Cal City on the market as far as jobs. I think we can do it. Our industry is pretty good, pretty solid. You look at what the cleaning industry for commercial and residential, it's booming. And the trend looks like it's going to increase until 2025. So if someone would just let me know what I could do with my company to move my corporate office to Cal City, let me know. And maybe this is not the forum. Maybe I need to be at the Chamber of Commerce. We are a member of Palmdale Chamber, and I don't mind becoming a member of Cal City. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nelson. Mr. Stockwell, if you just give us just a moment, ma'am. Mr. Stockwell.
Anna, could you meet with her and get her name and phone number so we can contact her immediately?
And I have a question for you. Are you a veteran? My husband is a veteran. Okay, if the company's in, if you have a veteran business, there's no business tax, if I remember right.
It's $1.
Or $1, it's $1.
The company is not $4 now.
$4.
Our company is not under veteran.
Okay, then that probably wouldn't apply. But thank him for his service. Anyone else?
Hello. Hey, I'm new to this town.
Good.
I'm Anthony Harris, CBD Medical Solutions. I own it, distributing company up in Reno, Nevada. One of my investors has quite a bit of property here, and I'm planning to do some industrial open air hemp, if it's possible. Talking about bringing jobs here, including a business park. I just wanted to introduce myself. I've met Mr. Platt already. Nobody else here I've seen, but hello, everybody. Hopefully you'll see me a lot more of me here and bring a lot of jobs and bring this housing. Jobs, people, we'll use who we have here, but, you know, that's how everything goes up. You know, I'm from Reno. We have a big boom up there. And I'm coming here. So I live next to Tahoe. We're real beautiful up there, but I'm coming here for a reason. Well, it's a reason.
It's in the eye of the beholder, I'm sure.
You know, there's something else that needs to be accomplished in this economy today and in all these cities, okay? I mean, our state has some issues too. But anyways, I just wanted to make myself...
And what is your name again, sir?
Anthony Harris. I own
Anthony
CBD
Harris?
Medical Solutions, LLC, out of Reno, Nevada.
Anthony, I have a question for you.
Just real quick.
Sir.
Yes, real quick. How many acres do you plan on planting?
Well, we've got, I think, almost 1,000 acres here, but we're starting with a 50-acre parcel or something. We've talked to a 40-acre parcel right now.
That'd be fantastic.
I'd like to start, and it won't be nothing like what I just saw out of town here. I'm actually a professional, and we do things actually correctly. There's no Mickey Mouse involved in what I do.
CBD oil for veterans is the greatest thing I've seen happening right now.
It saved my life. Okay,
Mine
it took
too.
me from opiates. I've broken my neck, my back, everything you can see. I have a pain management doctor. They're all just overwhelmed of the product I carry. And anyways, just to let you all know.
So, Ms. Nelson and Mr. Harris, welcome to California City. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you want to say something? No. Okay, thank you. All right, anyone else? Public business from the floor? Going, moving on. Consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine and non-controversial and will be approved by one motion if no member from council, staff, or public wishes to comment or ask questions. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Tonight, we have 4 items on the consent calendar. Consent calendar 1 item is approve the city check registers dated through September 6, 2018. Consent calendar 2, adopt resolution number 09-18-2755 of the City Council of the City of California City authorizing the City Manager or Public Works Director to execute the Federal Transportation Act, FTA, Section 5311 Operating Expense Assistance Grant and Title 6 Assurance and Urban Mass Transportation Civil Rights Assurance. This is a housekeeping item. It's changing the executor of the grant. CC3 is adopt resolution number 09-18-2756 of the City Council of the City of California City approving the reimbursable letter of agreement between the State of California acting by and through the Department of California Highway Patrol and the City of California City. CC4, Planning Commission appointments. Upon approval, City Clerk will administer the office of oath. The oath of office. Office of oath. Oath of office, yes. That's something for dyslexia. Anyone from the public like to comment on any of these consent calendar items before I move it back up here? Al, you don't disappoint, my friend. You never disappoint.
Never disappointed. Al Hudson. CC, could we pull that for discussion?
Why?
Why? Because it's, to me, looks like the applicant or the prospective applicant would be far more qualified as an assistant to the city manager, and with his experience and education and everything, he would be an excellent candidate for a cannabis liaison position.
Okay. Thank you. We haven't addressed that with the gentleman.
Right,
so
that's why
thank
I said,
you.
Let's pull it, table it.
I can't
have a
table it,
discussion
but
on it.
I've got to fill. I got to fill the planning commission. We've had it vacant for too long. It's starting to affect their abilities.
A week or two is not going to make or break the planning commission.
Okay.
This is something that's
Anyone
really
on
worth.
council want to move this? Anyone making a motion to pull this off? I'm looking. I see no one. I'm sorry, Al. Thank you for your recommendation, though. He is very well positioned.
All right, and we also have a long-term residents that are concerned of having a newbie here in such a critical position.
That's unfortunate. Thank you.
Well,
Okay.
look.
Anything else from the consent calendar? No consent calendar 1 checks tonight? Okay. Anyone else from the public have anything on consent calendars 1 through 4? Anyone? Moving up here, gentlemen.
I just have one on check number 103525, Hilt Engineering. How much was out of pocket that wasn't covered by grants or other payments?
I believe these are all covered by projects. So a lot of this is the road project and would be review of the anything to do with civil, but that's all based on revenue received.
So the 50,910.93 was all covered and nothing out of city pocket, correct?
I don't believe any of the projects we are doing in-house right now.
Okay.
That we have brought.
Thank you.
Any other
That's
council
going to be a
checks?
small amount because there will be a lot larger one that are tied to the road projects.
Yes, Mayor, 103-498 Muni Temps. Is there a reason we're still paying the interim finance director $6,670?
That's the final payment through the end of his term.
Thank you.
Anyone else on council have any questions? None? All right, seeing none, I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent calendar items 1 through 4.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Madam Clerk, would you roll call us, please?
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Paris?
Yes.
Stump?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gomez?
Yes.
Mayor Wood?
Yes, thank you
Motion
very
carried.
much. Public hearing 1 for those that are late arrivals is not, oh, yes, I'm sorry. Please, come forward. And for anyone that has not met, our new planning commissioner, and where is Don? Don was here. Could we get Don up here also? This is... He may be not here yet. In other words, he may not be here because of the fact that he may be on travel. So... Are you nervous? You've been playing a drum all night. And by the way, for everyone, this is Mr. Wendell Wall, and you have Don Trumbull. Ron Hogan is not here right now. He may be still traveling back to California City.
Don knows all.
Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign or domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I will take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Very good.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, for your commitment to our city. We really appreciate that. Public hearing number 1 has been canceled. NB1, let's move on to Maintenance Worker 2 position, California City Housing Corporation / Public Works Facilities and Grounds, Public Works Director Platt.
Mayor, Council, and Public, this was a job description actually that was, I believe, sometime around, actually I put it in there, but in May, that was pulled due to the special tax. This went to the Housing Corporation and actually was approved, and now we're bringing it back to the council to actually move forward with actually flying this position. The current contracts all ended the 30th of June, and it's facilities that's actually been facilitating and working with Amy and her many chores that she keeps creating for the department. And currently we're actually 1 member down in a 5-member crew, which is working between the golf course and all the city facilities and grounds, which includes all the mediums, right-of-ways, the parks, the strip mall. All those duties fall under that department. This position was written as a universal position within Public Works, and what we did was actually add the things that required and flew it at a level to actually hopefully to attract somebody with some pretty rounded skills that would work within a complex to deal with light electrical, appliance replacement, and the grounds around it, which is also the landscaping. The annual cost of the maintenance worker 2 is going to be $57,169 to $62,78, and that's depending on the step. And so we're asking you to approve the job description and the position within facilities and grounds, and the majority of that work will be tied to the Housing Corporation, and when not, they will be under the umbrella of facilities and grounds.
Who will they report primarily to?
The facility and ground supervisor.
Okay. All righty. Anyone from the public have any questions, comments, concerns about this particular item? I see no one. Moving up here, council.
I've got a few questions. On part of the job description that I was reading, where it says that may provide lead direction and training for subordinate employees, is this going to be a supervisory position?
No, and every position, and so I'll tell you my philosophy, every position, even a GSW entry level, may be over another group of GSWs. So to say that no position has any supervisory is not true. So even a maintenance worker that's been here for 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, depending on experience, could have other maintenance workers working with them that he would be in control. So you do have at every level some supervisory.
Okay.
It would be of your subordinates or people that are under you.
The other thing I have is that the current budget for the housing corp is what, 340,000?
Yeah, I don't know what the housing corp budget is.
Is that okay? Okay. My concern is to approve this. I'd like to see the person permanently assigned to them, because from what I've gathered, we've got 2 apartments that are flooded out, and there's nobody available tomorrow to move furniture so new flooring can be put in.
Oh, that's not true. That's already handled. So Public Works has been working with Amy on all of her needs over there.
Okay.
So yes, we did remove furniture. We removed carpet. We removed the furniture. We removed all the bedding.
Okay.
All that was handled through Public Works.
Okay.
She's
well,
a real
kinda
slave
short
driver.
back there, and it's, you know, I got to look around Mary to see her.
So this you got to remember, this person can't do everything by themselves.
Correct.
So they're still under the umbrella, and Public Works still is going to assist when you need 2 people to do something. The rest of the department, as far as facilities and grounds, will be helping this individual because they can't do everything.
Correct, and that is my concern, because there is so much on all the crews that are working, all the street crews, all the water crews, and you got people bouncing around, going from TDS to wherever, and so it puts a strain on it. And my concern is that the city's strain, what they have to deal with, is going to supersede hers, but we're dealing with elderly people.
We've accommodated, I believe, everything when it's been thrown to us that Amy has given us as a task. And that's with current staff, even at the shortfall we are right now.
And we're hurting.
So we realize that, you know, one thing, the medium. So the medium might and it was. I mean, the medium has sacrificed. The city facilities have sacrificed because of the golf course. Half of the guys have been there.
Yeah.
We were already down because Eric stole one of them. So we are dealing with it. So we're dealing with it as the department. You got to remember, the way I've put job descriptions together is all your maintenance work series, GSW through 2s, are universal between all the department.
Yeah,
so they can be utilized in every single department we have.
Okay, now, whoever gets assigned to this, are they going to be I'm assuming they're going to be certified like everybody else as a maintenance worker too?
There are certifications if you're water, and I broke those down in here. So there are requirements based on the department. The series within facilities, those all end up being certifications, which is like traffic control, the weed abatement. They hold all those licenses. They hold the backflow licenses for the city. I mean, they have a huge load of licenses that they actually hold, which are all part of the city operations. They are over the whole backflow program. They're actually 2 certified individuals for the step 2, which is actually the management side of it. So those are things that at some point would be required if this person were to move up.
Okay, like I said, my only concern is the residents over there.
Absolutely.
You know, if I had family and things were going on, I want to make sure they're taken care of. And as far as I'm concerned, they are family, and I want to make sure they're taken care of.
And we totally understand that.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
think to properly characterize the decision of the Housing Board was by contracting.
We need new microphones. We can hear you.
That essentially by contracting with the city to provide the work, they not only get one person, they get access to 25 if what's necessary. And so the commitment is that they will get the full-time services of this individual so long as that's what's needed. And if necessary, we'll back that up with additional personnel.
Just to piggyback on top of that, since this Desert Jade's been in existence, there's never, ever, ever been a proactive program to replace utilities, correct? Or not utilities, but appliances and stuff like that. Is there any way we can start looking, and we have to wait for the budget, I understand that, we have to wait for money to come in, where we can possibly start projecting that and starting getting things replaced?
We're already doing that, Chuck.
Yeah.
Amy started that the minute she got in there. We've been replacing.
Then I'm
units.
just behind the curve big time.
Yeah, she's been very proactive, and I can't tell you the number, but we're starting to inventory a couple units because she's been replacing them that quick.
Okay. All right. Doing a rocking job, dear. Thank you. I said dear. He is sweetheart. She is dear. Okay?
Look at that chief is red.
I have some questions. One, the thing that bothers me is we're adding to Public Works, and we've added to Public Works the whole time when we were basically under our self-imposed sequestration for the 2 months that we went on before Measure C passed. We still added to Public Works. I would like to see, I would be a happy camper if this were a finance person or a couple of finance people where we wouldn't have to do NB3, or I would be happy if it were several police officers with a contract where the city attorney looked at it where we would be able to pay for their schooling and then get them all the way up to speed and have a contract with them where they're working for us for several years. But to add more and more spending in Public Works, I don't like that. Now, I understand what you said, but in my opinion, and I've done his job before in the federal, in military, I don't think that, I think that money spent on this should go towards law enforcement or towards our decimated finance department. So I am against it.
Mayor, if I could clarify, the funding for this comes entirely from the housing fund, could not be used for any of the things that Mr. Stump is suggesting. This was comes to us with a unanimous recommendation from the Housing Board to do this. The money that was being spent on contracting for individual services like AC, carpentry, and that, the costs were exceeding what we'll be spending here, and so there'll actually be a savings to the housing fund by having this position filled. And so it in no way affects any of the general fund expenditures. It simply is adding the person there. The Housing Authority does not have the capacity to employ their own people. The city provides that administrative overhead, and so adding a full-time position is it's like the director is a city employee, paid for out of the housing funds, but a city employee, as will this person be a city employee, but paid out of the housing fund.
If it's not out of the general fund, then fine. But I don't want to see any city funds, and that's why, again, one of the individuals running for mayor says, stop the crazy spending that we're doing. And so, again, as you said, if it's not coming out of general fund, then it changes my idea on it.
You got to remember, Public Works is almost funded within Public Works, not the general fund. The only department within Public Works is facilities and grounds. Everything else are funded under state, federal funds, or a revenue for service. And we are roughly almost a dozen employees down because we did stop hiring within Public Works.
Gentlemen on to my right, any questions on anything? All right, since we've spoken up here, we have a 2-minute second call on this item. Anyone from the public have a second call item? They want to say anything? All right, seeing none, looking for a motion?
Without hesitation, I make a motion that we approve. And Amy, you do a rocking
I'll
job.
second it.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, would you roll call us, please?
Councilmember McGuire?
Absolutely, yes.
Paris?
Yes.
Stump?
If no general funds, yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gomez?
Yes.
Mayor Wood?
Yes.
Motion carried.
NB2, for those that arrived late, has been tabled. We're going to do that another time. So we go to new business 3, which is the contract with Cassell for financial service. Cynthia Foster, budget analyst, you have the floor. Can't hear you. Let's grab.
To the hard drive on the screen.
As Councilman Stump just mentioned, the finance team is a little understaffed currently. So we reached out to Cassell, which has a financial service division of their company. And apparently they have contracted with the City of California City in the past when we had staffing shortages to help with bank reconciliation, some reporting. So we are requesting that just for an interim basis while we are continuing to look for staff, that we contract with Cassell to help us with our monthly bank reconciliations, to also just take a look at all of our modules, make sure they're all reconciling in preparation for our upcoming audit, and help us with any of the special reports that we may need during the audit. The fees for this service.
You're on.
Okay. The fees for this service will be $1,200 a month. We're requesting that we start this service immediately with Cassell, possibly taking a look back at some of our prior months, which they'll just charge us one flat rate of $1,200 if we have to do that. But we'd like to contract with them through December or until we hire additional staff in accounting. So we're not contracting, not committing through December, but we are anticipating that unless we find additional staff, we could use their services through December. The calculations here for 9,600 reflect from May through December, but again, we may not spend the full 9,600, but we are asking for at least that much from the council.
Do you have any ads on the city webpage for people in your department?
Yes, there is a ad for the accountant and the finance director currently.
Question, Mary.
They're beyond the city's website. They're on Indeed, which is a huge database of jobs.
Right. And hopefully they have some good filters so you don't get thousands that are not even qualified as the count, because that can happen. Mary, were you participating today at the job fair? Yes. How many applicants did you receive for any of the positions in the finance department? And this is relevant to what I'm about to ask next.
I received one application for an accountant in the finance department.
Okay, thank you. How much does, on a monthly basis, it'll go back to probably Cynthia, how much does it cost the finance department per month for an individual to perform these services, one employee or a part of an employee to do these?
Currently, that's been myself, and it's, if I had to give an estimate, I'd say it's probably about $500. But the challenge that we're facing right now is the fact that I have to prepare for the upcoming audit, and having to do this additional work in addition to preparing for that is just going to be a burden that I don't think we can handle.
Okay. Has work been done back to May yet?
There's been some
by
work.
By Cassell?
Yes. No, not by Cassell. Okay. There's been work done by myself. We had some prior months to May before Jason left that had some small variances that I'd like Cassell to take a look at for us. I'd like to just make sure that our numbers are clean for our audit. So I just getting their support and some extra eyes on our financials.
So, in my experience working in the financial field, garbage in, garbage out, or even any statistical database, garbage in, garbage out, Casella is not going to do that type of level, the entry level of the data that's going in. Who's going to ensure the data is not reconciled, but the data going in is accurate for them? And do they have a module in Casella that's going to identify suspect posts?
Currently, that's myself. I've been doing all of the journal entries for the bank reconciliation. Our process has been very labor intensive. What we are trying to do now is get things posted through our front desk so that we have more eyes on the data going in, that we have more checks and balances against our GLs, and not just have one person looking at the data. So that's what we're trying to create right now, more internal controls behind that. Casella, actually, the department that's helping us are certified public accountants, so they are very familiar with being able to help us ensure that the data is correct and matching to our GLs. But it will mostly fall on myself to make sure that the data going in is correct. Yeah.
Okay, so this is actually not a computer that's doing this or a software program. We're paying for bodies to do this.
We're paying for a person to actually help us.
Are they coming here, or are we doing this from you?
We are doing this all remotely. They'll be remoting into our system and working with our data and myself and just helping us throughout each month.
So what internal controls need to be developed to ensure that that's just all that they're looking at?
Well, right now, everything is on one person's desk. So we need to have our systems where we have more automated posting with our receipts that come in. Right now, the accountant codes them, posts them, put them in. I want to create a system where the receipts come through the front desk staff have the information they need to make the entries, and then the accountant can verify at the end. So there's just a lot of things that we want to put in place.
So let me just ask a real quick question too,
To
Bob.
answer what you said
Yeah.
first, Mayor, Casella accesses all of our programs remotely now, and so the same protocol that is used for all of the other operations will continue there because they do the online diagnosis from there.
Okay.
So they've had access throughout. That will continue, and so the safety built into that was from the very beginning on their own security and controls internally.
Thank you, Bob. The other question that I would have is a question to you. Is there a possibility that there be some value added to, and while you're shorthanded, to have Casella work on an algorithm that would help you identify potential poor postings or potential postings that are inaccurate, and what would something like that cost in order to streamline it, take the burden off line item, stubby pencil as I call it, in a computer age? Is there an algorithm that could be created that would help you do this? And if so, if not, no big deal. But that's just something, would it help you? Because accuracy is important, particularly in our audits and the data that we use to make other business decisions. So it's just a question. It's not a, yeah.
I am not sure that would be possible because it's all done manually at the front desk. I don't know if Casella has systems where it can actually flag us in that way. I think putting in more internal controls in our department and not having the same person do all the work is a better strategy for us.
Okay, we have a bunch of internal controls that we created for finance over the last several years. If you need to revisit some of those, let us know and let council take a look at those things. I appreciate it. And one other thing, you don't have to tell me tonight, but you have 70+ audit schedules.
At minimum.
Could we see those? It's not contingent on this decision tonight, but could you let us know and bring us up to date? Because I don't think many of us were aware of that.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
There are quite a few audit schedules that need to be prepared in reconciling all of our balance sheet accounts, all of our grants, all of that. So
Yeah,
there's
if
a
we
lot of
could
work.
see something, a snapshot
sure.
of that, that would be great, or maybe the whole enchilada. That would be good. That would help us understand this better.
I have a couple of questions. Do you have a shared drive for your accounts payable, receivable, general ledger, all of that?
Yes, we do. Yes.
See, the thing that I worry about is if Cassell has access to, like, say, your computer, and that would make them have access to that shared drive and to other things. So, I mean, I trust Cassell. They're a well-known company, but you know, you had pointed out that they would have access to one person's computer, but actually they would have to more because they would have access to the shared drive with all the data.
They're only accessing the Cassell database. They're not accessing our shared drive.
Okay, so your shared drive is only on one person's computer?
No, everyone has access to it, but they're only getting access to Cassell. It's not, Cassell actually is not on our shared database.
Maybe
It's
I can
actually
help
on its own database.
Gene with that question.
Okay.
Is the Cassell server is a standalone server away from the city's other systems?
Okay.
Did you gentlemen have any questions? I'm sorry. Okay. Since we brought up some things, anyone from the public have any questions about this?
Alan Hudson got a few comments. Did you all look at calcpa.com? Nothing? Because as you pointed out, CalCPA, that's an association from Cal State Fullerton. It's an excellent accounting school, and they have a 500 membership in the Cal CPA, and they have job postings as well as help wanted and all of that in there. Now, one other thing is with the RFP that went out, there's a thing that's called peer review, so I really don't understand why some of these accountants don't want to be looked at. Don't know. Okay. And the last thing on this is how is the Cassell program going to analyze the budget, and can it analyze past budgets? Because that comment was in the statement, in the supporting statements.
Well, the budget module in Cassell will accept as many prior year inputs as we want to put in. Generally, you go back 2 years because it just makes too much cross there. So it would be at least 2 years of budget to actual, each of those, and then the most current year, the budget, which would not have the actual at that point. And so it carries that information continually through the process.
Okay, is the in the analysis project further procedure, is it going to just be checking that 1 and 1 is still 2, or is it going to be looking for problems?
I'm not sure what your question is. The budget is put together as a document to.
Is Cassell going to be looking for problems, or is it just going to check that 1 and 1 is 2?
Yeah, it does the math, but it's not looking for problems. It's not the purpose of the system.
Okay, so it's not doing the analysis that was put in the supporting documentation then. Thank you.
It's not, but just to be clear, we're talking about not a computer system. These are actually human beings, people.
Well, when
a person, they will do what you're suggesting as they're reviewing data.
I'm not suggesting this. This is in the supporting
No,
documentation.
I'm answering your
for
question. I'm answering your question. Okay?
Yes,
trying to
please
answer
be
your
factual.
question.
The proposal that we're putting in place is not for data analysis. It's to help us with tasks.
Okay, because your supporting document said analysis.
They can provide those services also, but that's not what we're requesting today.
Okay, that's not in this. Let's take a look at that again then. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Where are you going? You can't do that during a meeting. Well, it should go through the clerk. No, it should go through the clerk. What if it was something hazardous? Okay, well, still, you don't just walk up to the dais. Everyone knows this. Anyway, forget it. 4 and a wake up. Yes, ma'am.
Mary Wadey speaking. What is the time period for the proposed contract?
We're requesting May through December, but we're hoping that it will not take that long once we get additional staffing.
Okay, what is the reason to go back in May? Are they working now? Okay, so what is the reason to go back to May if they're not actually performing any work?
Not yet. They're not yet. We're contracting to have them do work for us through the end of the year.
This year?
Yes. Okay. But when you do financial work like this, if they have to go back prior to May, they want to make sure that they have allocated sufficient funding to do so.
The books from May.
Yes.
Okay, so the actual information that they have to work on is
yes.
what they're going back to.
Financial
That's what
data.
they're being paid
yes, ma'am.
for. That's what I wanted to know, whether it's the actual performance or the work that they have to perform. Okay.
Both.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? All right, gentlemen. Looking for something here?
I think we need the services. I think that our finance department is limping along. They're hurting and they need the assistance. Since it's on an external server, and like I said, Cassell is well known, but it's on an external server and isolated. We need it, so I am for it. I make a motion that we approve NB3.
Second.
Madam Clerk, could you roll call us, please?
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Paris?
Yes.
Stump?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gomez?
Yes.
Mayor Wood?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're moving on to NB4, which is proposed reserve fire engine leaf. Chief Leaf. How about that? Lease. Fire Chief Goodell.
We need a reserve engine. Our engine that we have now, replacing the KME, and we don't need to go very far on that.
The KME doesn't go very far.
And we don't go very far on that. So the one we have now is accruing about 1,300 miles a month. It's at 118,000 miles. I checked it right before I came. And it's getting tired. It's a 99. We, with council approval and our city manager's approval and advice, and my staff and I are working on putting together the specifications of a new fire engine that will fit our needs. Hopefully that'll come about on or about June of next year. We're closing in on designing it the way it needs to be to fit the needs of the people in Cal City. But we need a reserve engine behind our engine for the next 6, 7, or 8 months. And so we have explored a lot of options. And the best option that come up with is to lease an engine. And the people who are in line to provide us with a new Seagrave, if that's the way things go, are also the same that are giving us a good deal on the leased engine. They're also the people who have been very, very responsive and very helpful and very expert in keeping the engine that we have running as it is right now. And knock on wood, no problems now. We hope that that the reserve engine never has to be called into service service, although we plan on exercising to take a little bit of pressure off the engine that we're using now. And so I'm asking, fire department's asking for the council to please approve our proposal to lease an engine over the next 6 or 7 months. I've estimated total cost $22,800. And the some of the figures are right there, and I also prepared a handout. If you guys would care to look at it with me, that would be fine, or I'll just field questions.
I'm just going to open it up to the public for any questions, comments, concerns about this item.
Good evening, Ralph, again. On the, is this leasing company, is that the one over in Nevada that does the restoration and guarantees of rebuilt fire engines? Is that where we're getting it from?
No, this is from Corona. They've got an office in Hesperia, and then Seagrave, the parent company, is from Wisconsin.
Okay, because over there in Nevada, as I previously discussed, there's a company over there that does the complete restorations of fire engines, and the cost of a completely restored one is in the $1,000 bracket, and it comes with the guarantee and everything. So I would encourage that we take a look at that and see if they don't have a lease program, or they could do a rebuild with the city's specifications and save us a couple of $100,000. Which, if you would like, I will get that information and get it over to you, Chief.
Yeah, on the new one, yeah, that would be a welcome. We'll take a look at it. We'll scrutinize it and see if it costs out. For the leased engine right now, we need an engine right now, and we've needed one for about 2 months now.
Because, you know, at the current lease over a 16-year period, that would be substantially less than the out-and-out purchase, and we wouldn't have the liabilities, and we could possibly work out something with the county for the maintenance.
We've got a good maintenance program through the people that we're working with now, and the city manager and I have discussed the initial discussions of a lease with the option to purchase on the new engine.
Okay, does the maintenance, does that include a loaner engine while it's being serviced?
That's why we have a reserve engine. While it's being serviced, we use the reserve engine.
Use a reserve engine, but they don't furnish a reserve one like the county would.
I've explored options with the county, and they have not been receptive.
Okay, because, you know, we had them here, last year or so. We had the then county fire chief coming over talking.
We're real good friends, and I'm being pretty tactful when I say that they're not real receptive.
Okay, thank you.
Not no, but thank you. Anyone else from the public have any questions, comments before I move it up here? Council?
We're talking this, Dave, we're talking a 7-year difference from our current one, our first-in engine, to the reserve. And it says here that it's been pre-owned and everything's been checked out and everything. I'm going to ask you the $64 million question, dude. Would you bet your life or your wife's life on it?
I feel well protected by the California City Fire Department, equipped with this reserve engine and the arrangement that we have now, which is the best we can do right now. My family visits here quite a bit. I work here, And if they were to spend the night or the next 100 years here, or just a temporary visit like we do, I would bet their lives and my lives that we're doing the very best we can with what we got. We're a quality fire department.
Oh, no doubt.
And
no doubt.
And we're getting the highest quality stuff that we can get in under the circumstances.
My only concern is that everybody's safe. That's my only concern.
Oh, and you and I have been together long enough to know that there's a lot of important things to me.
Yeah.
God and family, but right after that would be the fire department.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
I have
Anyone
a couple
else?
of questions. The $22,800, does that include oil changes, tires, all of that stuff, or what are the estimated additional costs for those?
Well, it's in a reserve. Status, so I don't plan on using it a whole bunch. But if we do, then that would be part of the certified pre-owned part. And I have not looked at the details of the warranty.
Understand, but in a reserve, I just want more fidelity from you. I'm asking you, you're going to drive the engine, and I don't know fire engines, how often you have to change the oil, how often you have to, I'm sure it's pretty heavy-duty maintenance update. Every 3 years, 3 months?
3,000 miles.
Okay, so,
On a diesel.
and it has what in that engine? It's a big Cummins engine or something like that?
It's a Detroit.
Detroit?
I think it's in the fact sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Detroit 6V92T, 350 horse, which that I got to be quite frank with you, that's also Greek to me, although I know the difference between a diesel and a gasoline powered.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, so we can anticipate maybe $1,000 more in maintenance costs?
Yeah, that would be difficult to pin down. I wouldn't be surprised that we don't put a whole bunch of money even up to that into it. And our history with them, not a long history, but a good history, is they've been, like I said, very competent, very responsive, and they keep their word.
Okay. But the $22,800, you know, for the amount of time that we would be paying that is reasonable. But like I said, I just want to make sure that there's no other hidden
costs. Yeah, and I share that with you. And what I'll do with the help of my engineers, especially one of them, is we'll look carefully into that and see what their warranty includes as far as a maintenance package, because it is 6 months, and 6 months is kind of a magic time for fire. It's like 3,000 miles or 6 months. That is a magic time to do lube, oil changes, etc.
Anyone else? Since we've talked, we have a 2-minute second call. Anybody have any questions? See no movement. Moving up here. Looking for a motion.
I'll make that motion based on the chief's. He's comfortable with it, 100% comfortable with it. That makes me 100% comfortable with it, and I'll vote yes.
I'll second it.
And the motion is to execute a short-term lease with Southern California Fleet Services for the above described engine for a total of $22,800 in a form approved by the city attorney.
That's it.
That's it. I thought so.
Yeah, I thought
we got a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, would you roll call us, please?
Councilmember McGuire?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Stump?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gomez?
Yes.
Mayor Wood?
Yes. Moving on to the council agenda, this portion of the meeting is reserved for council members to present information, announcement, and items that have come to their attention. The Brown Act precludes council, staff, or public discussion. Short staff responses are appropriate. The council will take no formal action. A council member may request the city clerk to calendar an item for consideration at a future meeting or refer an item to staff. Councilmember McGuire.
All's right with the world right now.
Okay. Councilman Paris.
Yes, ma'am. At the last council meeting, there was a 3-2 vote to extend the budget another 90 days to the end of November. In the past 18 months, every vote we have taken when money was involved required a 4/5 vote. and now it's passed on a 2/3. Don't need to hear from you, Mayor.
Well, it's the movement of funds from the reserve is a 4/5 vote.
Okay. I'm not done yet. Government Code, Title 5, Division 2, Part 1, Chapter 4. You don't have to write this down, Counselor. I have handouts for you. Article 10, number 53901. Unless exempted by the county auditor 60 days after the beginning of its fiscal year, every local agency, including every special purpose assessing or taxing district with the county, shall file with the county auditor of the county in which it conducts principal operations a copy of its annual budget. The county auditor shall hold on file the annual budget for such special purposes assessing or taxing district or local agency for the public inspection at all reasonable hours. If a local agency or special purpose assessing or taxing district does not have a formal budget, it shall file a listing of its anticipated revenues together with expenditures and expenses for the fiscal year in progress. The county auditor shall hold on file such statement for public inspection at all reasonable hours. This is a state code, not a municipal code or anything else. The state is telling us this is what we have to do, and yet we do not have a budget. If you'd like a copy of it, I have copies for everyone. Thank you.
That it? Councilman Stump.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Gomez. Me. Volunteerism in our community is alive and well. The flags on Labor Day, Joe and his son Adam got us started, but he had to leave to Sacramento. And I want to thank in 2 occasions. If I forget anyone, please, I apologize. We didn't take roll. But the VFW family of veterans that were out there to help us put the flags out on Labor Day. Warren Batiste from Warren Batiste and Reno Johnson from Community Youth Family Services nonprofit was there. Lions Club was there. Mayor Pro Tem Gomez was there. Mr. and Mrs. Macedonio. And at the end of the day, when the heat was on, I really appreciated the help from Palani Hokoana, Keon Hokoana, and Lejean Dudley for coming out and helping us pull those flags in the afternoon because it was really hot. And then today, on 9/11, Joe and Adam were out there with Keith, Tiffany, Roosevelt, Mr. Macedonio. I can't read my handwriting, I'm sorry. Yeah, I know Kane's out there, but that's not what I'm trying to read, sir. I know, I saw him. And Rias, and were you out there, Jack? Okay. So I appreciate that, and if I left anyone out, I apologize. I was going to the school. And again, the 9/11 ceremony at CCH, Cal City High School, Mr. Dwayne Dempsey, the Administration of Justice and Military Academy, plus the Cal City High School band and sound crew did an outstanding job. And I want to thank all of you for your continued volunteerism and support. And one final comment. You may not like me. You may not like what I have to say or do. But the policies that we have with regard to information or stuff provided to council is a long standing, predates me, many decades type situation where all information or items go to the city clerk before distribution to council. So you can disrespect me all you want. You're going to have another council before long. And I would hope you will give them some sort of respect because that was disrespectful tonight. Thank you. And we are going to go to closed session. Public comments. Members on the public are welcome to address the city council only on those items on the closed session agenda. Each member of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak. Tonight, closed session 1, pursuant to Cal Government Code Section 54957.6. Conference with labor negotiator. Anyone want to listen to this? Okay. Labor negotiator, City Manager Stockwell. Negotiations, California City Miscellaneous Union, California City Firefighters Association. Anyone have any public comment on either one of these well, on this item as it relates to two different negotiations. Anyone?
Madam Mayor, Council, Ron Smith, California City. I would encourage the council to encourage our labor negotiator to remember that we are right now in a public safety tax. We need to keep every public safety personnel that we have, every individual, and would encourage you to be very generous with our firefighters, whether it's a matter of retention bonus, whether it's a matter of increased salary, which certainly needs to occur, or whether it is a matter of a signing bonus. And when it comes time to dealing with our police officers, I would encourage the same thing. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? With that, we will adjourn to closed session.
Can we take a 5-minute?
Yes, 5 minutes.
Could we make it 10? We need to pull together a few more figures.
I'm so sorry?
Could we make it 10?
Absolutely. We'll make it 10 minutes.
I'm still hoping to
Sorry. I couldn't help myself. You were responding now. Usually it's just a face. Today the sound was coming out. Okay.
It's always a pleasure to see you, my friend. Listen, I don't know you or your brother, which one is more handsome? Oh, there we go. I gotta tell him that.
Well, you have to be diplomatic.
Yeah. I gotta tell you that.
He's young and strong, but Christian is refined.
I always said to all my brothers, I have 5 brothers, and we were standing and said, people said, I don't know what you. I said, of course it's me. Why? I said, my parents made me in the morning, they made it at night. What's the difference? Because I said, they didn't know what kind of eyes they're going to put in there, what's the size of the eyes, lips, they did me on the morning, on the mirror, nicer eyes.
That's good. That's what I'm trying to do. It's a misinterpretation of that. So it costs, spend more money and everything like that. It was what was required. Just like now we're doing things that are required. Like one of the growers contacted me, and she is in a category that is, if you follow the state guidelines, she doesn't have to do any more stuff. She can go straight to SDR, but that's not how they're doing it. So they're incorrect.
I'll talk to Christian about that. Thank you.
And he can talk to me. I mean, you guys can call me, but you know, the way that I am married, and I've talked to your brother. I like your brother a lot. But I work in lawyers at my job, and everybody makes mistakes. You know, but what I'm looking for is a level playing field. I understand, but we don't have it. said, you guys sat here and said, well, we didn't want this for all money, so let's not. And what they did, they just come with fair I was down to 100. As Christian looked into it, he sent a response to my Australian phone number, a text, but I'd already been back. And so I don't get what responding to me. And I said, look, I remind you to work with the council. So I was trying to put it firm to him. I thought it was blowing me off.
We have to shut it down anyway. He's going to shut down the video.